Welcome to day 1064 of What's She Up To Now. Sharon Horne-Ellstrom here, and I'm thinking about magic soap. Magic soap because we're doing the Get Up and Go Challenge, day 27 today of our 30-plus day challenge. Only 4 days left, and if I'm being 100% honest, I don't know what we're doing the next 4 days. I haven't thought about it. I'll think about it today, and I'll map it out, and I'll plan it out. But we've gone through a ton so far, a ton of things. But basically, we've settled in on understanding and diving deep into the SOAP framework. We've gone through it with respect to all areas and aspects of our life. The 7 key areas and aspects of our life that I've learned and dealt with for decades are physical, mental, emotional, spiritual, financial, relationships, and contribution. And what we did is we did 3 days, or not 3 days, we did 4 days because there's 4 letters in the SOAP framework. We did 4 days on relationships, financial, and on physical, because those tend to be the 3 primary areas that concern most human beings. Now, guess what? We're affected by all of them, but until we get our physical, our relationships, and our financial taken care of, and then mental and emotional as well, because they're all tied together, we will struggle. And so the SOAP framework, it's a way for dealing with challenges and changes. It's a process. It's a framework that I've used for decades, but it wasn't until 2020 when I started calling it the SOAP framework. Why? Because I was washing my hands all the time. I was worried about sanitation and cleanliness. Now, I've been involved in the food industry for 3.5 decades. So food and personal care products industries. And that means we always had a high emphasis on sanitation, cleanliness, and safety with respect to our customers and our own lives and employees. We've always worked at a much higher level of conscientiousness with respect to those things. But SOAP just seemed to be the right acronym for the times, and definitely for 2020. So just wrapping up the fifth 30-plus day challenge that I've done, called Get Up and Go Challenge this year. Just kind of my way of doing something to keep myself moving and to keep other people moving forward in a year where, geez, I don't know about you, but I just wanted to cocoon or hunker down and stay at home and hide away from the rest of the world. And I knew that wasn't going to serve me very well. And it doesn't serve any of us very well. So how do we continue to move forward given all the chaos and craziness that's been going on around us? So Get Up and Go Challenge. 27 today, 28, 29, 30, 31. Got to come up with what it's going to look like for the next 4 days. Not worried in the least. I don't have very many challenges these days coming up with content and ideas and things that we want to talk about and discuss. So that was Get Up and Go Challenge. Fun challenge today was about magic and looking and opening our eyes, because magic is all around us, which is kind of probably why I called this one Magic Soap. And who wouldn't like some magic soap? I would like some magic wrinkle removing soap. That would be awesome. So magic soap, we're on day 354, I think, of 354 of the fun challenge. It's 365 day challenge, so it'll run a little bit over into next year, only because I didn't start until January 8th, because last year's 365 day challenge ran over into 2020. 2020's just been a run on crazy year. So we'll finish that one up, and then we will hop into, I'm not telling you what the topic's going to be, a new challenge for 2021. And I think it's a really fitting challenge for 2021. Now, I wasn't sure fun was the best challenge for 2020, but it turns out a couple months into the year, it was the perfect daily thing to look for and to do in every single day of 2020. Because some days have just been insane and haven't felt very fun. But in every one of those days, I've searched out and looked for and found at least one fun thing. And that's made all the difference for me and for hopefully the people that have seen the fun challenge this year. Supersize Your Business Challenge today. I talked about Proverbs today. I didn't really share one specific one. I asked people to share what's your favorite proverb, and I'm going to ask it on probably my Facebook and my LinkedIn page today too, because I'm curious, really, what are people's favorite proverbs? I've covered idioms for like the last 700 days. I've done an idiom, picked an idiom, and talked about what does it mean, where does it come from, and how can you use it to grow your business. Well, I was looking for an idiom yesterday, and I started thinking about Proverbs, and I got curious. And I said, well, geez, what? And I Googled, what are Proverbs? What are the top Proverbs in English? And of course, I started with a list of 10, and then that list turned from 10 to to 50, then 50 to 100, and pretty soon I've got pages and pages of Proverbs, and I thought, okay, Proverbs are really interesting. How long have they been around? Well, since 700 BC, King Solomon and the gang started collecting Proverbs. They're shown up in the Bible and in pretty much every area and aspect of most languages, and especially in English as well, for thousands of years. Well, guess what? Anything that's been around for thousands of years has probably impacted some of the people that we interact with, us and people that we interact with, on a regular basis, even during COVID-19. So I think that I decided for the next 100 days, I'm going to do a proverb a day. And most proverbs are idioms as well. Not all, but most. So it fits with my continuing saga of idiom sharing and idiom meaning. And, is that an idiotic thing to do? I don't know. It doesn't matter if it's an idiotic thing to do. It's kind of become inadvertently sort of my thing. And even if I wasn't sharing them, I think I'd actually be looking them up and doing them. It's kind of like when you do a word of the day. I for years have always done, and I'd look for a word of the day, and sometimes I would look it up in the dictionary, sometimes I'd look it up in something I was reading, sometimes I started doing it, I think in probably high school or college, where it was just, I was curious about what things meant, and so I would look it up. And because of that, we find we don't use a lot of the words that we learn, but I would always try to find a way to use that word then, or think about how that word applied to my day somehow. I'm doing the same thing with the idioms. I take the idiom, I think about it as I go about my day, and I'm like, well, how does this apply to, and it's specifically me growing and building my business, the business that I want to grow and build at the time, because it's been different over the years. So I think that the Proverbs will be fun. Proverbs, they're interesting. They're really interesting because Proverbs aren't always true, right? They're like situational, just like anything else. Nothing is always true or always false. It depends on the circumstances and the situation. But for the most part, they're ancient wisdom that we can all learn something from, even if we learn that they don't always apply, or that they're not always true, or they're not always right for us in a given situation. Sometimes they might be right for us, other times they may not be right for us. I'm trying to think of an example right off the top of my head, and the only one that I can think of as beauty is in the eye of the beholder. Well, is that always true? Yeah, I guess it is, in that it's always up to us to decide and interpret beauty in what we think of things. Beautiful to one person is ugly to another, right? Hideous to another. It's totally dependent on and subjective for each of us individually, based on our own past experiences, our own thoughts and feelings and beliefs about things. Knocking my ducks in a row off. So that was fun. Today's Get Up and Go was about contribution and how we impact and interact with the rest of the world. It was about our own personal motto or mantra, or what we stand for was the tool today. And we went through the SOAP framework for contribution, the area of contribution in our life. And to me, contribution is how we interact with things outside of ourselves. Most of the areas and aspects of our life have to do more actually with us internally than externally. It starts with us first and goes out, and so does contribution. What is inside of us that we want to share with the rest of the world? How do we interact with people? How do we interact with organizations? How do we want to show up in the world? What are we here for? The big questions that we seldom ask ourselves, but that when we do, we could ponder them for years in certain circumstances. So contribution today, got to decide what I want to do next year going forward. Now, for some reason, I woke up with the impression that I don't want to do the Challenge Summit, which is terrible because I've been working this month on putting together a Challenge Summit. And I do want to do it, but I need to think about what I really, really want the outcomes of that to be, so that it becomes an event that I'm super proud of and is moving me in the direction of all my goals. The end of the year for me is a time to ponder and look at everything, all the areas and aspects of my life, set my annual goals that are consistent with my long range lifetime goals, and break those down then into smaller pieces. I always do annual goals, then I have 90-day blocks that I work in. I have done that for decades because it allows me to make progress in areas that, and much faster than I would otherwise, because we all live in that and fall prey to that law of, what is it called? I can't think of what it is. It's not Gresham. I can't remember. Maybe it's part of Murphy's Law, but we will fill up the amount of time that we allot to any given task. So if I say I'm going to have, I set myself a deadline for 3 months, 90 days to clean my basement or clean my garage or organize something or do a project, guess what? It will take me at the 90 days. I will not achieve that goal till right at the end and that 90-day mark. I will achieve it because when I set goals, I achieve them, but I will wait 2.5 months or whatever, and then the last week or two before my deadline, that's when I'll actually physically start to do that thing, to do the tasks that are involved in making sure the garage happens, unless I break my goals down in the beginning now and make plans. So I start with annual to 90 day, 90 day to monthly, monthly to weekly, weekly to daily, and I literally map those things out in pretty broad strokes, because I'm a lot more flexible as I've gotten older. I'm a lot more flexible with my plans. But I know that if I don't break the big things down and do the things on a daily and weekly and monthly basis to make sure that I'm going to achieve those goals, I will wait till the very end. And then and guess what? Sometimes I still achieve them because I'll hurry and bust my tail at the end of the year, but I found out that that didn't feel very good to me. I like breaking things down and knowing that the daily things that I do are contributing to the whole. Just me. But this is my time of year to be doing that planning and that breaking down. And so there's a lot of stuff swirling through my mind as I'm working on that, because I do it for each area and aspect of my life. I don't just do it for my business goals or for my financial goals. I do it for my physical, my mentally, my emotional, my spiritual, my contribution, and my relationships. And some of those areas, I need a little more work than others. So that is what I am working on. If I can help you in any way, Christmas is over, so I'm available. Just hit me up in the comments below if you have a question. I know that sometimes I've had a question and I'm like, geez, I just wish I had one person I could ask this besides Google, because Google gives me all kinds of nonsense I don't want. One person that's been there, done that, has some information or might be able to connect me to a resource that I don't feel like I personally can. Let me be that resource for you. All right, and again, I might not know the answer, but I guarantee I can hook you up with somebody or something that will help you get to the next step. All right, have an amazing day. I'll be with you tomorrow to let you know what I'm doing as I transition from the brick and mortar corporate world of businesses to the online world. Take care.